9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans around the world, welcome to another huge pop entertainment drop the mic night. Tonight, we're joined by a man who has never been afraid to speak his mind.
Yeah, I can't hear you. Let me see here.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can't hear nobody.
Luke, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I can hear Rip just fine, too.
Okay, I can't. I can hear you talking. I can't hear your boss talking.
Well, you know, tonight, I'm going to say we'll go ahead and keep rolling with it, Rip, and we'll figure out what all's going on here. Tonight, we have the opportunity here on the Drop the Mic program to have a man who's very outspoken, who's been very, very integral in the world of professional wrestling for nearly 50 years. A man who has gone out there, has seen it all, done it all, been a part of everything that you could possibly imagine in the world of professional wrestling. And tonight, we are honored here on the program to have the one, the only Rip Rogers here on the program. Rip, how are you doing, sir?
I'm 72 and I ain't. Oh, can you cuss on here or not?
Yes, you can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I'll try not to. Okay, but I'm pretty boring if I don't. Okay. Great to be on your show. How's that?
Thank you for coming on the show. Can you
I'm
hear me now?
72 years old, so.
All right. Well, Rip, we want to go ahead and start off here. And I know you hear a lot of stories, a lot of interviews, but with you having nearly 50 years in the wrestling industry,
Yes,
a lot of our viewers may not necessarily be familiar with wrestling back when you first got involved in wrestling. What motivated you to become a professional wrestler? Hundreds of thousands of occupations. What drives someone like yourself into the world of professional wrestling?
Well, when I was 7 years old, my grandpa took me to see Dick the Bruiser versus Cowboy Bob Ellis, and then I was hooked after that. Now, during high school, I sort of got away from it because I was playing all these sports in high school, and I started lifting weights when I was 14, and probably missed about 10 days since then, and I'm 72. So. Yeah, I'm what do you call it? Aspergerish or whatever. I know I'm nuts, but and I got to get that workout in, which I've already done one today. As soon as I get off here, I'll do it. After I do the other podcast, I'll do another one. Just to do it, because I'm not going to let anybody outwork me, no matter what.
Well, you know something, Rip, and again, I totally understand and agree with what you said here. In professional wrestling, and again, I got to tell you right now, being as young as I was, I remember when I first started watching wrestling as a young kid, I was always watching the old days of Georgia Championship Wrestling, not the 83, 84 time period, but I was remembering the likes of seeing the tail end of Thunderbolt Patterson, Ole and Gene Anderson, seeing the likes of Paul Jones, among others in that territory. And like you said, it was one of those where there's just something about professional wrestling and having the opportunity to see those individuals, and it's like just something, it hooks you. It's like an addiction. And like you said, you go on to play sports in high school, and I
played 4 years of football, 4 years of baseball, and a year of basketball in college.
Wow, that is quite.
And I was lifting every motherfucking day.
Wow. Well, one thing I want to ask you, and I was going back and I was doing my research. One of the first territories that you had the opportunity to be a part of, from what research I was able to do, was ICW. Back, I want to say, and again, if my numbers are wrong, please make sure you correct me here. I want to say it was in 73, 74.
Oh no, you're totally retarded. You ain't got a clue. Okay, I'll go through the whole mess with you. Okay,
7983.
7983.
No,
I apologize.
No, the original people in ICW was me, Randy Savage. I lived with him 4 years, so we did every kind of devious thing you can think of. So it was me, Randy, Lanny, Angelo. It was George Weingroff, and then Roop, Orton, Garvin, and Malenko. They all come in from All Star from Knoxville. So we was ICW, and they were international, and so we merged and became international All Star for a while. But then we dropped them, and they all moved to Lexington, and then we went from there. And at one time, we had like 13 TV markets in the United States, which was bigger than almost every territory except fucking Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some of the greatest motherfucking, like we was in competition with Dick the Bruiser, competition with the goddamn Sheik, in competition with Ron Fuller, in competition with Jerry Jarrett. It's like we had all the TVs they had, but they were the incumbents. So we would be the new kid in town. So they would be on the solid Channel 5 in Memphis, and we're on Channel 25, 29, or whatever the fuck it was. It's some shitty fucking time slot. And we had the outstanding fucking talent, but them motherfuckers were over. Lawler and fucking Dundee, they was over like motherfuckers because that's all they'd seen for how many goddamn years. Then we popped on, and of course, Randy wants to challenge him, and he would actually go to their fucking matches. And yes, he would have weapons on him, guns on him, and everything else. We did a lot of crazy shit, and I never instigated it, but I was pretty much always there with him because we were best buddies at that time.
And again, when you talk about those territories, I mean, you talk about the likes of the Sheik in the greater Detroit area. You talk about Dick the Bruiser when you're looking like in the Indianapolis area. You talk about Memphis. Those aren't in any way, shape, or form light heavyweights. Like I said, you're going straight into at the time, some of the biggest territorial promotions in the country, if not the world.
Well, it sounded like it, but they were all on their ass. Because Bruiser was too old. He was overexposed. He only had a few TVs at that time. He had Indianapolis, and then he had Fort Wayne, and then he had the one over. Then they went to the one over in Ohio or whatever, became Bruiser Bedlam or whatever, and he was on his last legs then. I remember I was working I was running shows for WCW. What do you call them? Right? So we was running the Indiana State Fairgrounds where Bruiser used to run, and there's Bruiser. He's there, and he comes in. I said, "Hey, boss, what's up?" So we're talking shit and everything, because no matter what. Now, when I got in the wrestling business, I was never trained. I was not fucking trained. I bullshit my way in and learned everything and shut the fuck up and just did what I was fucking told because I was young. At the time, I had a big old black afro. I was athletic. I had the old boom box and everything. And unfortunately, then the bell rang. I always tell everybody the world's worst professional wrestler was me. And then all of a sudden, I trained guys for how many years, and I got 70 guys jobs in WWE that didn't have a contract to begin with, like JTG, like Santino, like Mike Mondo, the Spirit Squad, like Serena Deeb. I'm trying to think of what Armando Estrada. No, I've had a hell of a fucking life, and I've done everything on my bucket list. So I'm just out here in Las Vegas. I just think I'm just going to fucking die, and such is life. And what the fuck can I do about it? I ain't mad at nobody. I can't say I wish I would have.
Now, can you hear me,
When I was
Rip?
41, I started doing pro boxing matches.
Ripper, check here. Were you able to hear my co-host here?
Rip, can you hear me?
Now?
Can you hear me now?
Earlier.
Can you hear him now?
Yeah. Well, if he talks.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, he's talking in his microphone, but I guess we can't hear. But that's all right. Now I want to kind of jump here for a minute. I was doing my research, and you talk about being in Las Vegas. You talk about something that's very important to the professional wrestling industry, that being the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Yeah.
And being well aware that next weekend is a very important week for them as the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion is taking place at the Plaza Hotel. My question to you, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this year you're supposed to be ready.
You just disappeared. All right.
Okay, I hope I'm back now.
Yeah,
We're
you're
talking
back.
about.
No,
Yeah,
I'm supposed to get some kind of goddamn trainer award.
Okay.
And
What
it's like Sunday, the first day, I'll be helping Sin Bodie with the call on the fly thing.
Mhm.
I see Dr. Tom couldn't make it this year. So I'll be there and helping Sin, because I helped Sin some at the Future Stars of Wrestling, the local group here in Las Vegas, and I help him. He teaches class. They got a whole bunch of classes there. If he can get me a ride, I said, you can get me a ride, I'll be there Tuesday.
Well, I mean, again, having the opportunity, and that's one of the things when you talk about things like the Cauliflower Alley Club, had the opportunity back a couple years ago to attend, and one of the things that stood out to me was just the individuals you get the opportunity to meet when you're out at an event like that. I mean, I had the opportunity and the privilege to meet the likes of Ross Hart, and spend time and talk with people like B. Brian Blair, talk to people like Herb Simmons, among others. When you go to events like this and you get a chance to talk to the wrestlers, some of them that are in attendance that you competed with or helped train, what does that do for you as a wrestler, as a trainer? How does that make you feel when you're able to be in a room with all these individuals that you had a key part in their career?
Well, it's like a coach of like a college coach, and your guy makes the NFL, right? Or a high school coach, and then your guy goes on to college and shit, and you helped him get a college because you knew a bunch of coaches or what they was looking for, and you tell him what he did well and what he didn't do well. You know what I mean? It's just when you're in athletics, that doesn't matter what sport, it's still and wrestling is competitive as hell because it's not real. So in other words, I got to out fucking work you. In my prime, I was 5'10" and a half, and now I'm probably fucking 5'9" maybe, because my fucking legs are fucking caved in and shit like that. And I love every minute of it. And you take the good with the fucking bad, but this is what I wanted to fucking do. And if anybody else don't like it, I ain't bothering you. Whatever you want, I'd rather do this and do what I want to do than be a goddamn millionaire. Because the other shit don't interest me. And I always tell people, I said, when you get in the wrestling business, if you get in when you're 25, you'll stay 25 your whole career. You still act like you're 25. You'll run with 25s. You'll have 25-year-old girlfriends, and that's just the way it is. Such is fucking life, especially in the wrestling world. So I'll let you ask another question, because if not, I'll just fucking talk the whole time.
Well, Rip, I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why we very much appreciate you being on the program, because as my broadcast colleague said earlier on, the idea that you make no bones about professional wrestling. This is a sport. You have to be able to go in there and be able to keep up with everybody else and be able to make sure that you're that much more ahead. And I want to kind of jump ahead here in a minute and you mentioned about OVW. Mm-hmm. I've heard countless people say they were so influenced by the training that you did in OVW and guiding people, the next generation of pro wrestling. How did you wind up with all of your travels? I mean, the NWA, you had ICW, you had Puerto Rico, you had all these different promotions. How did you wind up in OVW?
I was business partners with Danny Davis for 20 years. First, he was the sole owner. Then I bought in 50%. Then Jimmy got tired of banging his head against the wall in WWE. And then Jimmy come in. So then there was 3 of us. And I was always getting in trouble because when guys I would call, if you was lazy, I called you lazy. If you were a pussy, I called you a pussy. If I talked to girls, I called them lazy fucking whores and cunts. Because that was they were. But if you was great, I said, good job, motherfucker. Yeah. I said, if I'm not saying nothing, you're doing fine. If I'm yelling, I'm going to yell because I got all these non-contract guys mixed in with the contract guys, especially when they had that tough enough bullshit. It was so fucking embarrassing. Fuck. But then again, WWE was making the payments every fucking week for everything, right? So it was okay. But it's everything it's everything that I didn't believe in and didn't want to. Jimmy didn't. Nobody wanted it. We just took the goddamn fucking check. But
hey, Luke,
it's business, right?
Ask him. He was
keep going.
One of the famous classes he had was 2002 with John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar.
I can hear. One of the questions that, again, we're trying to take care of the audio issues. One of the things that he was bringing up was the class of 2002. Right. When you had the likes of a John Cena, a Brock Lesnar, a Shelton Benjamin, among others. What stood out to you in that class? I mean, they all went on to great things, but what really stood out to you with that particular class of trainees that you got to work with?
Well, first of all those guys were on high dollar contracts. So in other words, Brock was making $5,000 a week to learn. Buddy was driving a ring truck and John Cena was driving a ring truck too. So they weren't scared of hard work. And a lot of them, and I got them so fucking good, but you got to remember at the time I was a rookie doing this shit. I just threw some shit against the fucking wall, and I knew, and I taught everybody how to call it in the ring. And everybody that pretty much I ever had, they called it in the ring. I had guys do 90 minutes. I had guys do 2 fucking hours called in the motherfucking ring. And I'll just say, get in there, you guys go. Hour, it's on the wall, go. And everybody knows what to do. It's already broken down with different formulas, but they know all the formulas. The first 2 hours every day was nothing but fucking drills. Drill, 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 drill. All fucking fundamentals. But it wasn't really bumps because you only got so many bumps on your bump card. And then all of a sudden, once it's gone, it's fucking gone. So you learn to work with intensity, threatening, and not big bumps. And then if you take one, you oversell it all the time. And you learn not to do many fucking covers. You learn the psychology of working, which not very many people know anymore. It's when the baby face gets all their shit in, they got to get all their false finishes in. All of a sudden, the heel can turn baby face because the baby face can't beat him. And the other guy's just kicking out. Oh, yeah, do some more shit to me and cover me so I can make you look like you're weaker than fuck. All the old guys, it's a rib to, because the young guys, they just want to get all their stuff in on TV. Fucking marks.
Well, you know something, Rip? I want to say something as a long-time independent wrestling personality. I want to say thank you, because what you just said is when I first started getting in the wrestling industry nearly 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things. I wasn't out there and I have to do 37 flips and I got to have this and this and this. Wrestling is, and I've said this on countless interviews, it is telling a story.
Right. Everything is fucking storytelling. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times the story is you're not telling a story because nothing's working. First, you're working on an arm, that ain't working. You're trying to get it on a leg, that ain't working. Now you're looking at a neck, you're looking at a fucking back. Now you're going to start throwing fucking strikes and stuff. God damn it, nothing's fucking working. Son of a bitch, you poke him in the eyes. Now he's helpless.
Well, you know, that's one of the things I feel very fortunate of. When I first got into the world of professional wrestling, it was the idea of where, simply put, You had your good guy, you had your bad guy. You tell the story of good and evil. But again, as a good guy, you have to get the fans behind you. The second you can't get them behind you, they're going to turn on you and nothing flat, exactly as you said. And the bad guy is going to get all the reaction. Now, as you look at things here, and I've heard it in a few interviews, and I just wanted to ask you, being a part of OVW, I know that I want to say in the early 2000s after Cornette, there was a time when Paul Heyman was in OVW. Did you have
that was a very short time.
Did you have any dealings with Paul Heyman and OVW?
I didn't think nothing of him because they had, as a rib, Vince had Jimmy and Paul together. I got fucking pictures with them together, and I don't know how much is a rib, but you know, Jimmy's Jimmy and Paul is Paul. Whatever, they're not involved with me in any way. I just train guys. You guys can argue about this. I don't give a fuck. My job ain't writing TV. I would do writing the TV when I had the non-contract guys, and we had a television show too. And I would do that. But then pretty soon I turned it over to some of the guys that wanted to learn how to be producers and shit and let them do it. And then we critique it, and I'd say, okay, this is why we do this, and this is why we don't do this. Now you're putting the apple before the fucking cart. Now this is way too early. This is way too fucking late. No, you got to watch the other matches, and you got a different body part to work every goddamn match, and you got a different tempo every match. Some people like goddamn high spots. Some people like lucha. Some people like fucking heart. And we're selling the buffet of wrestling when we're having a TV program or a fucking show in the fucking town. Somebody might like, it's like fat guys. I said, no, we'll have a couple 300-pounders in there, but not going to be a bunch of, no, this is going to be the battle of the brutes. I don't want you to be fucking smooth, or I want you to be fucking bulls and beat the shit out of each other. And people go, God damn. And when you can learn how to fucking sell, and you learn to work, which nobody knows how to do anymore, how to work to your place on the card. You watch some shows, and I don't even have to mention any names, but in the first match, they're going outside, they're going under the ring, they're pulling tables, they're on fire in the first match. But that's progress, I guess. It's better than only having one company.
Well, you know, Rick, wait a second. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, yes, sir.
So, Luke, can you ask him?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Can you hear me now, Luke? Can you hear me now, Rip? No.
I don't think you can. So let's go. We got a question coming in here, so bear with us 1 second, Rip.
I got two questions. So,
first question.
Ask him if creative minds like Russo ultimately hurt the generation talent that Rip later trained. Second question would be, when he was training at OVW, was there anybody at OVW that he thought would make it, but didn't?
Okay. The first question we're going to have, I'm actually going to flip the order here because we're going to kind of wrap up our discussion with OVW. You had seen countless wrestlers come through OVW. Is there anyone that came through OVW that you thought had all the tools to make it to the top tier, the main roster, so to speak, type companies that never did?
That's all. If you're a football coach and you're you're general manager and you're selecting at the fucking draft, right? I don't know what everybody else works. I said, these are my best guys. You know what I mean? You choose them because you're the bosses. You know what you want. I don't. And then what you're going to do is, if I do something and they said, well, this guy wasn't, you said he was good and he wasn't. I said, no. I said he knew how to do everything. He looked great and he worked hard and had a good attitude. If you couldn't mold into that, that's on you, not me. When I'm here, I got guys, when I tell them to shut the fuck up, they don't make a fucking noise. When I tell them to do something, they do it. And I said, now does everybody understand that? Okay. Oh, you're hiding. Get over here. You're in the ring now. And the people so I was cooler than fuck as a teacher. You either love me or hate me. But once class was over, you knew that I was trying to make you good and trying to make you get a job. So all the contract guys, I would just be on there. I said, these other guys are fucking coddled. They're making all this money. Hell, you got a job. Like I said, Mondo, you got a job at fucking Chili's. You know, and all these guys have got jobs somewhere, right? And Santino had he had no job. He had to work for cash because he was Canadian. And they had 4 guys in one apartment, right? So you appreciate all this shit and everything. And Santino, he's a fucking goddamn judo, jiu-jitsu, whatever the fuck. He's a fucking badass. I did a couple seminars for him over the years in Canada. And goddamn, and he's had a hell of a career, I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Well, another question as the second part of the question that my colleague had was the idea of we look at OVW and then we look at 2 individuals. We want to kind of get your thoughts on what their impact was on the world of professional wrestling, that being Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff.
Okay. First of all, I'll tell you Russo. Jimmy hated Russo.
Uh-huh.
I met Vince Russo. It was in here. I think it was here in Vegas, the last WrestleCon, I think it was. He was the nicest, politest guy pretty much ever talked to. And then I do stuff with Ben Hameen from Hameen Media Network. And he's sort of like, and he does stuff with Russo. So I got, and Jimmy loves you or hates you. And he can get mad for no goddamn reason. But he's a smart motherfucker. And Russo, he didn't bro me one time. And if I seen him, I'd always stop it and I'd see him stop, talk. Hey, Vince, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. You're still in wrestling. That's good. Now, the other guy, what's his name?
Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, as soon as, okay. He's got a very big ego, spending somebody else's money. Once he had to do the shit himself, he didn't understand. See, I was running these towns for Ole, and he would rather go into the Houston Astrodome and lose $150,000 because I was doing developmental towns where all these guys could work. Steve Austin, you know what I mean? Steve Austin, all these guys that were under contract, but they weren't with the big company, so they needed reps. So they could work in front of an office, they could do television, this and that, and I'm thinking, but we would still turn a profit. We'd pay everybody, everything would be sponsored. The guys are working in front, they can having good matches in front of an audience, which is exactly what you want. And Eric would rather go into run some big show and like go into the Astrodome and spend $200,000 and lose money, but he could say he ran the big building. So, but when I grew up and when I was a business partner with ICW, I knew how running the business was running the business and all the shit that it entailed. When I was running shows in OVW, I'd run fucking spot shows too. So, and then I was a booker in Kansas City, and I was a booker in goddamn Puerto Rico. And they fucking called me. I wasn't looking for work. I was always working. Somebody was calling me to come in. I never had any trouble because all I did was shut up and polite to the bosses, but I didn't let them intimidate me. And anything I said, I could fucking back up. I said, "Oh, excuse me. I took no steroids and was in 12 physique contests in 18 months, which is impossible, and won 2 with no fucking steroids." So all the people who do steroids, to me, they're losers. They're going to lose their fucking lives. What it goddamn is. So most of the guys that I ran with, they all did it, and they're all fucking dead. And we're going to die anyway, but I made 72 and they didn't.
Well, one thing I want to look at here, Rip, and again, we have Rip Rogers here on the program. Rip, after all these years, after all the miles that you've been there and all the wrestlers that you've trained, what keeps you going? I mean, again, you said you're 72 years young. You look like you could still go out there, and I'll be honest with you, you probably run circles around both of us inside the ring and do it with a smile on your face as you're teaching us lesson upon lesson. What keeps you motivated at your age to still be involved in the world of professional wrestling?
I treat every day like it's my last, because someday it will be. And as you get older, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of people in hospice right now. They're all wrestling oriented, and either them or their girlfriends in hospice or whatever. And I'm contacting them. What can I say? But I'm trying to help them and stuff. But I don't know. I just love fucking wrestling, and we could get hit by a car tomorrow and that'd be it. You don't know. I always say, give it your best. Don't say, I wish I would have. Don't be 50 and say, I wish I would have went on a diet. Don't say fucking 50 and say, I wish I would have learned to do this or that. Fucking learn to do this or that, no matter what age it is. The most important thing is shut your fucking mouth, keep your ears open. And if you're any good, everybody hates you because you're better than them, and they know it. So a lot of guys that are hated, all they are is good. It's like, if you're a black guy, the black guys in the territory, they hate these other black guys. They want to be the only ones. If you're a Giants, hate Giants. Bleached blondes hate the bleached blondes. The technical wrestlers hated the other technical wrestlers. You can only keep so much of everything, right? In pro football, you don't draft 10 quarterbacks, do you? No. Nope. And pro wrestling's the same goddamn fucking way.
Very, very, very true, Rip. Now, a question I want to ask you is this. You've been to countless different promotions over the course of your near 50 years in the wrestling industry. Is there any promotion, either now in the present day or in the past, that you never got to go to but wanted to?
No. I had Baba's last fucking single match. He singled me out. I was so good. You know, Giant Baba, the big guy.
Former NWA world champion.
Yeah, he couldn't hardly fucking walk. He was, you know what I mean? I had his last fucking single match. Wow. So he chose fucking me. You know who Eugene was?
Nick Dinsmore? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I made him Eugene because everybody else was getting pulled up to get a job and they wouldn't give him a job. So I said, I'll make you Eugene. So all I did was give him an idea because my son's autistic. But my son's a genius autistic. Where he went to college, he's got his goddamn thing on the wall for the most outstanding student, highest grade point average or something.
Wow. Well, another thing I want to look at here, and we're going to go from the serious to the, some people would say not so serious. In the world of professional wrestling, we remember the road trips. We remember the times of spending with our fellow wrestlers, whether it's traveling in the cars or 4 or 5 people in a hotel room and trying to get by. One of the things that a lot of people talk a lot about is the rib. Was there anybody in your time in the industry that you would consider to be kind of the king of the prank, the king of the rib when it comes to in the locker room, traveling, whatever the case may be?
Not really. A lot of guys were serious. Some guys couldn't take fucking ribs. A lot of ribs, somebody might be wanting to fucking shoot you. A lot of guys used to carry guns and shit. They always had a fucking knife. There'd be, shit would fucking happen. But you can be funny. But I mean, some of the best times riding, I was in Portland. I was with the Bushwhackers and goddamn and Playboy Buddy Rose, and we was in Oregon and Washington. Had great times in there. When I was in ICW, it's usually me and Randy Savage traveling together. He'd drive, and I would be his like secretary. He'd tell me everything to fucking write down as we had when we go do TV tapings, and we have to do the booking. We'd have a 4-week. We like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so if me and you was in a street fight, we were doing it for for a month, 4 straight weeks, because we had tape 1, tape 2, tape 3, tape 4, and every TV was on. Some were on the first week, some were on the second week, some were on the third week, and some were on a 4-week delay. So we could do that street fight all that fucking time, but they're seeing. It's like you're seeing all the tape. And some people could get like week 2 and week 3, so they're seeing like a 1-week delay and stuff like that. This was before cable TV, so it really didn't matter.
All right, we have a question here from one of our viewers. When Billy Corgan approached you about being involved with the NWA, what interested you about what he's trying to build?
He really didn't have no interest in me. I had interest in him. What he is a very good guy. He's got goddamn money. He's doing the best he can, but he don't have the experience. You got to have somebody that's been there. And I'm not trying to be a big shot. I'm just showing you how I could do something that would, because if you had this much experience and you're a world's greatest wrestling fan, as an example, like Tony Khan, but you don't know nothing. And Billy Corgan was Tony Khan before Tony Khan. He didn't know, he loved fucking wrestling, but he made his money playing music, right? That's his expertise. I could have, and me and a couple other guys could have done all this shit and give him a hell of a fucking education in about 4 years. And I said, okay, you're ready on your own now. And I'd show you why this shit would happen. But I can't get mad at somebody that loves fucking wrestling. I can't get mad at somebody that's giving people fucking jobs. The bad part about it is, I would tell everybody, if you haven't done your 20 years in the business, you ain't got a fucking clue. Because your stuff's going to evolve into stuff. And some of the stuff you thought you was smart at, then you realize you were a dumbass. It's like you're in the 1st grade, the 6th grade, the 8th grade, or your high school graduate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And some stuff's hard, some stuff's easy. And then as soon as you get out of high school, now you're a goddamn freshman again in college. Now you're at the bottom again. And life is a continual thing of starting out the bottom, getting good at it. Then you got to go to the next level, the next fucking grade and stuff like that. Right. But I would have loved to help. But I reached out to him, and I'll do it once, and that'll be it. If you don't like it, that's it.
Very understandable, Rip. Very, very understandable indeed. Now, as you can see on the screen, I also got a question here. What was the greatest piece of advice you were ever given in the wrestling industry, and who was it from?
Well, I'd have to think about that. I wouldn't. Hey, you got to remember, when you're saying, how many matches have I had? Used to be you'd have like 350 matches in a year. Mm-hmm. Now today's stupid shit. Oh yeah, we had 5 matches. Oh no, I've worked 20 years for WWE, and I've had 30 matches. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just fucking ridiculous. I remember for Bill Watts, I had 10 matches one week. That was a record. Mm-hmm. It was usually 2 on TV. You work a double shot on Saturdays and a double shot on fucking Sunday, and you could work underneath and make more money than you'd make in main events in the other territories, because he had higher ticket prices. He had higher ticket prices and pushed the guys, and everybody there worked hard. You didn't fucking complain. And I love working for Bill Watson. I love working for Ole Anderson. But when I'd start cussing between Ole, every word he'd say was fuck, and Randy, every word he'd say was fuck. So I guess where I become the fuck master, I guess.
I guess I don't know if we can actually make that a hashtag here on the show or not, but
Well,
definitely
you
that's
know.
one of those nicknames that you could possibly put out there. Now, a question I have: you talk about Ole Anderson, a man who a lot of people don't necessarily have the most favorable opinions of. Every time I had any kind of watching and doing tape study, I always really seemed to enjoy what Ole Anderson did in the ring. When it came down to, what do you think made such a connection between you and the likes of an Ole Anderson or a Bill Watts or a Randy Savage or the Popple family in general? What do you think made you gravitate to this?
They all had discipline. They had fucking discipline. You respected fucking Ole. He was booking Charlotte and Atlanta at the same fucking time. And when we would go on tour and be me, I'd ride with Ole. And we just bullshit. I liked him. He treated me like that's when I started running towns for him. The developmental towns. Ronnie West was the goddamn referee, right? So that was nothing but fun. There wasn't any place I didn't really like, but there was no favorite place. I really had a whole lot of fun in Calgary, put it that way. I like that.
Well, you know, Rip, you just kind of led to where I was thinking about too. And again, we've been kind of jumping all over the place here. But you talk about, and again, you talked about going to Santino and Battle Arts up in the eastern part of Canada, and you talk about Stampede Wrestling. Can you share a little bit, because from what I've done, it was the late 80s. I mean, I don't want to say it was the tail end of the Stampede era, but at the time you were in Stampede, what made Stampede stand out to you?
Well, first of all, they shut down first because Vince took all the boys, right?
Right.
And then he either gave Stu back some money or whatever it was. I don't know. I was there to have a good time. So of course Ross picked me up at the airport. He took me downtown to the right down the street from his brother-in-law, who ran the gym, BJ's, at BJ's gym, and that's where Teddy Hart was at, and that's where Harry Boy Smith, he was there, and they were little fucking kids. So this is 1988, so that's been 12 and 20. That's 38 years ago. They were little fucking kids, and that last Comic Con or whatever it was, or I was right next to Harry. Harry's 6 foot goddamn 5, you know, and Davey Boy was about 5'9", but he was real good in the ring. But you know, he died at 39. You know what got him? So hopefully Harry won't be doing that shit. But he's a good kid. He's a good boy, Harry. I've known. Yeah.
Well, another question we have here from Big Texan Collects: what wrestler never became as big of a star as you thought they should have been, and what held them back?
It doesn't matter what I think, because it's not my territory. It doesn't matter. And you got to remember, as Randy Savage told me, it's phony when you win. It's phony when you fucking lose. The guy on the first match is more important than the guys at the fucking main event. Because the guy in the first match sets the fucking pace. The guys in the main event, they can take every shortcut there is for violence, blood, fighting out in the middle of the goddamn street, and you're projected. When you can have a nice solid match without stepping on any toes, remember, you know how to work a first match, you know how to work a second match, you know how to work a third match, you know how to work a semi, you don't step on any toes. So the guys that are in the main event, they're not doing repeat shit.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true.
There's a whole lot of unwritten rules in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing, Rip, and I have to agree with you there. Being in wrestling and being around wrestling as long as I have been, it's the idea of where everything in a wrestling lineup, in the format, in the program of the show, everything consistently builds to that crescendo. It builds to that, in music terms, it builds to that final explosion.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of the things I would have to agree with you. There's a lot of wrestlers in today's professional wrestling industry that don't take the knowledge that the veterans have. I've had a lot of wrestlers that have talked about, oh, well, this is how I want to be. And yet they sit there and they want to talk about, I can think of one that talked about wanting to be an amateur wrestler. And he had an amateur background, much like a Santino Marella or a Kurt Angle. But they want to look at what's going on this week on television, and they don't want to go back to the times of the 70s and the early 80s when you had wrestlers like a Brad Rangans or an early years Bob Backlund or a Chris Taylor, among others.
Don't throw Chris Taylor in there. He wasn't worth a shit. He was embarrassing, is what he was. And if you want to we're talking about showmanship. Motherfucker couldn't walk without knocking his knees together. He was so fucking fat. And how old was he when he died of a heart attack?
Oh, was an early passing? I know that. I don't have it off the top of my head, but
yeah, number one. Don't be fat. Go to bed hungry. Is it fun? No. But you'll look better than fucking 95% of the people you're walking around with. And you'll walk in a fucking gym and people go, God damn, fuck, how old are you? I said, it don't fucking matter. I look better than fucking you fucking cunt.
Like I say, Rip, we got another question here from the viewers here. If you could ban one modern wrestling move from the business forever, what would it be? And the follow-up question is, what do you think happened to the art of working a headlock and actually selling a body slam? So let's kind of take this in two parts. If there was one move or one series or one particular pattern of things in the wrestling industry that you would say, that's it, it's done, we're never going to see it again.
That Canadian Destroyer is fucking horrible.
Okay. I can see that.
It's fucking phonier than fuck.
Mm-hmm. And you know, there's a lot of moves in professional wrestling nowadays too that I think you would agree with me that are like, you have to have like 37, 38 turns, and you got to have a flip and a half, and you got to have all this stuff. To me, that was not the wrestling I was born and raised and trained on. You have to be able to go out there, and it talks about the idea. What do you think has happened to the art of selling, as they would say, in today's wrestling industry? Whether you're talking about a headlock takeover or you're talking about a body slam or a suplex, what do you think has changed in your time in the wrestling industry in the art of selling the move?
They got too many guys that are bosses that aren't wrestlers. When you got guys, and this is just who are the top owners in goddamn, was it TKO or whatever the fuck their name is?
Yep.
Okay. They're not wrestlers. They don't know. They don't give a shit. They just want to make as much money on the WrestleMania, see how many of these idiots will buy it, and then not running, and just all they're doing is making fucking money. Which if it was I mean, if I'm there, I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to make money, but I'm going to put it back in the wrestling fucking product and try and make everybody fucking better. You would be in fucking, if we was off, we would have a home. You'd be responsible for fucking coming to class. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. You don't fucking like it, tough shit. McDonald's is hiring, so is Walmart, and so is Amazon. So we got 3 of them now.
Very true. Now, another question I want to ask you is this, and I'm going to kind of jump just slightly away from wrestling. You talk about TKO. Yeah. In the mid 90s, we start to see the idea of things like the UFC, MMA, things along those lines coming into mainstream sports. What are your thoughts? Do you think MMA has taken away from the professional wrestling industry?
No, it made it easier.
Okay.
It made it fucking easier. Now you hit a guy with, I say, no, don't throw more than 3 fucking punches because people expect a bloody nose or a fucking some swelling or whatever, right?
Hmm?
And then all of a sudden, oh, he's got him in a rear check, and they will buy any fucking submission hold that they see on MMA because they know it's real. Now you just do a phony one, and you don't have to. It's easier than shit. All you got to do is do pro wrestling, and hell, they're out there cutting promos. They're playing characters. They're doing goddamn angles. They're doing real. They're they're UFC, but they're imitating wrestlers is what they're doing. They all got characters. That's what what do you think Conor McGregor was? He was all fucking
True.
character, right?
Mhm.
Made fucking millions of goddamn dollars. I ain't mad at nobody. And we steal from them and they steal from us.
Like I said, it's a very valid point there. One thing that we have here, and another one of our questions that we've gotten from our viewers, what do you think, or how do you believe is the importance of up-and-coming wrestlers, whether it's on the independent scene or on the main rosters of today's major promotions? What do you think? How important is it to listen to our viewers said legends, but I would say more of the veterans of the locker room? What do you think the importance of listening to your veterans is?
Well, there's I've seen the good and the bad. I've seen veterans that are trying to sabotage the young guys because they're going to take their place. Now you can see that, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's like that in any job. It's like that in any sport. It's just the goddamn fucking world. And we can't stay 25 forever. All of a sudden you're fucking 48. In comes a new guy. Here's a guy that looked like you was when you was in your 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're just trying to hang on to make a little fucking money because you're working at the fucking bar, you're cleaning up dog poop or whatever for fucking money, and you got to fucking eat.
Yeah. Very, very true. And the second half of the question that we had from our viewer is, do you think the brotherhood, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this here, the brotherhood of professional wrestling is the same as it's been in years past?
I don't. All I know is when I got in. I don't know what it was before. That's like I'm out here at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and Red Bastien, who's the first president of it or whatever, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I wrestled him when I was in Portland because he was one of Buddy Rose's mentors, and I was partners with Buddy Rose. So I got to I got to work with Roddy Piper. I had all kinds of good times out there. But just work hard and work to your role. The boss, he'll see something of you. A lot of guys try and get over so they knock them down. Guys that are just doing it the way they're supposed to. They understand the business. They know not to step on people's toes. They know that this is funny. Years ago, when I would work for Ole, I would do a woo like Ric Flair. You know why? But I never told nobody. I wanted Flair to get upset about it and fucking work a program with me, right?
Yeah.
just because it's going to be on cable and shit, right? It's in Atlanta. So I was always doing that. I never told anybody why. They just look at me like, you never did that before. You know what I mean? But I just let it slide. And then today right now, I'm telling you why I fucking did it. Because I wanted to get Flair mad, where he really get mad and want to work with me, and where he'd beat the shit out of me, but I'd beat he wasn't going to out fucking cardio me. Nuh-uh, ain't no fucking way, motherfucker. And I would have been in hog fucking heaven.
Like I said, I mean, again, we have Rip Rogers here on the program, a long time. I mean, again, wrestler, trainer, you name it. Rip has been a very integral part of the professional wrestling industry for nearly 5 decades. Now, Rip, before we got a couple more things here before we let you go here, Steve. I know we're running short on time. But what we want to do here is we have a series of questions that we want to ask you. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of fire them off in rapid succession.
Okay.
For the idea of what you what your first thought is. First question we've got. What is the greatest singles match you've seen in your life?
Oh, Buddy Rogers, Pat O'Connor, 1961, Comiskey Park. 2 out of 3 fall match in the NWA Heavyweight Championship of the World. Every cover was a pin unless Rogers got his foot on the fucking rope.
Okay, question number. Go ahead.
And it was just so fucking good. Rogers looked the best, had the best strut, was the best fucking heel, had the best fucking pantomimes. What he would sell, Pat O'Connor did that walk around and that fucking arm looked like it was breaking his arm. I hate to cut you off on this. I was in New fucking Jersey. I did a seminar at Damian Adams' place. And all of a sudden there's Buddy Rogers yelling at me, "Rip, come here." I go, "What?" I got pictures of it too and everything, right? But Buddy Rogers saw me. He was on the fucking sidewalk doing something. And so I got my picture taken with Buddy Rogers. It was awesome. Anyway, that was
okay.
I had to
Next question: Who is the most naturally talented student you coached in OVW?
Wow. I don't want to say.
Okay. Totally understandable.
They were all great in their own way, and a lot of people weren't as good as they thought they were. But I like to keep the thing that the guys were hungry and always wanted to be better. I said, "Okay, you're 5'10". These other motherfuckers are 6'3". They're on all the shit in the fucking world. You got to be better than them. You got to work fucking harder. You got to be more exaggerated in fucking sell. You got to stay late and get there fucking early. You got to help everybody else underneath. You want the whole fucking dressing room to fucking love you." But anyway.
Okay, next question. Who would you say was the greatest natural, legitimate shoot fighter that you ever shared a locker room with?
Wow. Well, you got Brock, right?
Yeah, true.
Former UFC champion. I mean,
you got Brock. You got fucking Shelton. My old buddy, buddy who was Tom Zupanzik, he was Greco-Roman alternate in the Olympics, super heavyweight. Brad Rangers was his goddamn fucking coach. And he was strength coach for the Colts. Tom Zupanzik was. Then he became director of business development, had the world's neck lift record. And oh man, he was just a freak. He had the world's biggest fucking head.
Okay, I'm gonna take a quick side question here in rapid fire. Who would win in a straight up fight, Brock Lesnar or Haku?
Have no idea, because you don't see Brock Lesnar in a real fight. You don't see Haku in a real fight. And I've always been around Haku too. And I ribbed him one time. We was at a convention. I was with Honky Talk, and we just called him the King. Now, the Wayne's winding it up. All of a sudden, I said something to Haku. I ribbed him something. He just took that big fucking hand. He slapped me right in the fucking nuts right there. And Honky, "I told you, you don't fuck with the King. You don't mess with the goddamn King. You'll be." I sit there and told you how many times. But Haku's getting another run with his kids. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Like I said, I have an opportunity. I've met the man on a couple of occasions. A very nice, very humble guy. But when it comes down to it, you make him mad. You don't want to be in the same time zone with him.
I'm going to say, don't make him mad.
Very true. Very true. What was your favorite territory or favorite city to wrestle in during your peak in-ring career?
Wow. I tell you, this is why I love Calgary. On Calgary, we'd have the heels in one van, the baby faces in one van. We had long trips. It was rats galore. And Stu was such a rib. The Hart brothers, they were all different. But I had fun there. And I love fucking just I love working for Stu. I love staying at the fucking the St. Regis Hotel there that Ross Squarehead took me to the first night. And Ross was such a nice motherfucker. All the boys they had, and every one of them was like total opposites of the other one. They were a TV show in themselves. And then Stu had it where he had all the broken down vans, cars, and whatever. It looked like a fucking car graveyard, but if they would get parts from there like a junkyard. But I love working for Stu, and Stu always paid me more than my guarantee. So I sure as hell can't get mad.
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of point of personal privilege before this last one. Besides yourself, who was the best promo and talker in the history of professional wrestling?
Wow. Now there's guys that can talk to make noise, and there's guys that can talk to draw money. I don't want an entertaining promo. I don't want people laughing. I want a guy that, as a baby face, you're behind him. You can't wait to see him to beat that heel's ass. Or if you're a heel, you're so fucking arrogant. And who's the best? If I can't see them in their prime, you can't judge anything. That's like I can't judge Ric Flair when he can't hardly move now, right? Mm-hmm. And he's talking about having another match. And you know, I ain't mad at nobody. It's his body. You know, I would be scared. He'd hit something. It could kill him. You know what I mean? But mm-hmm. I think he would just soon go out giving it a woo and having a good time and performing in the business he loves.
Okay, we got one more question here from our viewers here. Again, recently you had written a book about lessons in pro wrestling. The question is, what core message or philosophy would you want preserved for future generations of professional wrestlers?
Get that book and you'll find out. I got lessons from Rip Rogers, and then I got the volume 2, which is like 90 more pages. All it is my tweets put in book form with a bunch of pictures that one of my students, Caleb Hall, he wrote the thing. Then he put 90 more pages in it, changed the little thing on the cover and put a little gold star or circle or whatever. And that was volume 2. I was right. I did 18 sessions with this other guy who was writing a book on me. And then them two started fighting. And I don't even want to mention the guy's name because he's got all the, what he'll do like the guy Abby did. Abby was going to write a book and he can't do it now. So they'll wait till he dies and they'll write. So this guy's got he's got 18 hours of talking to me. You know what I mean? And he can go ahead and do it on his own, but he don't realize if he would do that, what I would do to him, and I'd find him. and I ain't scared of dying.
Well, like I said, I also want to give a shout out to Abdullah. I know he's been dealing with some more health issues. Want to give a shout out to Abdullah the Butcher, and like I said, hopefully yet again he can kick out once again, and hopefully be able to continue towards a path of recovery. Now, Rip, before we let you go here, we want to go ahead. We got a couple more minutes here before our time's up with you, and we want to say thank you for coming on the program. But before we let you go, we want to go ahead here and take a second, and we want to kind of leave the last couple minutes for you to talk about a couple things. One is what's on your heart and what's on your mind, and if there's any last things that you want to leave for fans or for independent wrestlers or today's main roster wrestlers to remember about the sport of professional wrestling or life in general.
Damn, that's too much to think about. The main thing is, if you love pro wrestling, you're over with me. You're not going to learn. It's just like me loving the NBA, but I'm not an NBA basketball player. My brother was a coach, and he coached basketball. But still, I love the wrestling business. You take the good with the goddamn bad. You try and get in, get out, not get hurt, not take advantage of anybody. Try not to be a fucking prick. And when you're bitching about a shitty payoff, well, I'll tell you, you don't realize the biggest house we ever had in ICW, we lost money on because we was in Rupp-Arena. We was in a big building that cost too much. We bought too many fucking ads and shit, right? So we lost thousands of fucking dollars. Everybody's thinking they're going to get a big payoff. I said, boys, as a company, we lost over $2,000. We put extra newspapers. Oh, yeah. No, everybody thinks, oh, it's a good house. Well, you don't know what the rent is. You know what I mean? When you promote shows and you know how fucking hard it is, and how you're ready to blow your fucking brains out, and then the week's over, and you at least broke even, and you're up, down, up, down. Oh God, it's horrible. It's great. Oh fuck. And then, but I can't wait to do it again next week because we're addicted.
I agree with you 100%, Rip.
We're
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Rip Rogers here on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to go ahead for do it for us here this week. We're going to go ahead. Hopefully, after we go off the air, we can have Rip stay around for just a couple minutes and get a few more pieces of information. For more information about Rip Rogers, you can follow him on social media. Rip is going to be, I believe, this coming week in Las Vegas. Not that he's not already there, but he's going to be there this week as a part of the Cauliflower Alley Club 60th reunion. Again, if you haven't had a chance to purchase your ticket, go to caulifloweralleyclub.org. Purchase your ticket. It's a great experience. Talking to somebody who's been there, great experience. Make it a point to check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here at the Huge Pop Wrestle Entertainment, I want to say thank you for coming on the program, Rip. We're going to talk with you for just a couple more minutes after we go off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to follow us on all forms of social media. And once again, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode.
Thank you, everybody.
Boys, hurry up.